Since we are getting a look at Mafia 4 in December, I thought to myself, why not make another Mafia video? Cause you know, views. Now I say another Mafia video because about a year ago when I started my channel, I made a video titled The Good, the Bad, and Mafia 3, which you can watch if you click that card on the top right of the screen. But in the video, I asked the question, did Mafia 3 kill the franchise? And a lot of people said, well, TTG, Mafia 4 is in development right now, so Mafia 3 didn't kill the franchise. And to that I say, yes, of course it didn't kill the franchise, but this is YouTube. Gotta make vids. Views. If you're watching this video, I'm sure you know of the Mafia trilogy, even if you haven't played them. Mafia 1, of course, you got Tommy, the cab driver turned mobster, who never wanted that life for himself. So what does he do? He commits the ultimate sin and rats out his entire mob, from the mechanic all the way to the damn Don. Now, a lot of you might have felt he was justified, but if you live that type of lifestyle, you gotta follow his rules. In other words, you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Yes. Mr. Salieri sends his regards.
Oh, shit!
And then you have Lincoln Clay, the Vietnam vet who just wants a family and a good normal life. As we know, he comes home to his adoptive family, who are in the black mob, and eventually he talks to Sal Marcano, who tells him, hey, I want you to take Sammy's spot. And of course, Lincoln doesn't want to do that. So what does Sal do? Well, like any reasonable, sane white man, he does this.
You shouldn't have said no.
Oh, shit!
Craig, get up!
Get up, Craig. Come on, Craig.
Get up!
You probably notice a pattern between Tommy and Lincoln. Can you guess what that pattern is? Yes, they both know your mom.
What the fuck?
I'm sorry, okay, I apologize. That was rude. But one thing they do have in common is neither wanted to be a part of that life. Now, Vito Scaletta, his story is a little different. So let's talk about it, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, TTG, and this is the unfulfilling story of Vito Scaletta. So when we first meet Vito, we see him as a kid coming off the boat with his dad, his mom, and his sister. Fast forward some years and he's breaking into a jewelry store with his lifelong best friend, Joe Barbaro. And you find out pretty quick, these boys might not be that good at stealing.
Oh, shit!
So already starting off with crime with his best friend Joe, he can now add being arrested to his list. But fun fact, if you ever need a get out of jail free card, just enlist in the army. So, after being in the military for a few years, Vito comes home temporarily because the boys with the red arm patches, yeah, them boys, they got good aim. When Vito is in the train station, he's reunited with his best friend Joe, cause who else would it be? They go get some drinks and they talk it up, and you see Joe, he fitted, clean, you could tell he been working, you could tell he got money. And he proves it by being able to get Vito discharged completely from the military, meaning he ain't ever gotta go back at all. And Vito goes home. But this is where one of his first problems start. After eating dinner with his mom and his sister, notice I didn't say his father because his father ain't here no more.
I really miss my nigga.
Vito finds out that his dad took money from a loan shark and they owe $2,000 and they gotta pay that by the end of the week. Now, today, $2,000 ain't buying you a damn bag of chips, it feel like. But back then, $2,000 was about, what, $43,000 or something like that. You could do the math yourself. So, who is it that Vito hits up to see if he could get some quick cash? Of course, none other than everyone's favorite Joe. Now, Joe introduced Vito to Mike, a mechanic who buys cars. Vito makes a quick $300 and now he's trying to go back and get a normal job at the port because Vito mom ain't a fan of Joe and she wants him to have a legit upstanding job. But when has a child ever listened to their parents? So fast forward through the day of working at the port, Vito has had enough. He doesn't want to do what he calls slave labor and moving boxes for Derek and Steve, these are guys who killed his father by the way, just for a lousy $10. And I don't blame him. So Vito said he up out of here. Steve tells him not to show his face and Vito's response is, I can make 100 times more working for Barbaro Incorporated.
Yeah, don't worry. I can make 100 times more working for Barbaro Incorporated.
And side note, to this day, I have no clue why this man Vito said this. Like, ain't this a form of dry snitching? Like, why would you name drop your man to some dudes you don't know? But nonetheless, they also know Joe. And after doing a little intimidation and confirming that Vito actually knows Joe, they give Vito a different job, roughing up some hardworking fellers, and pay him for his efforts. But then Joe tells Vito, these little jobs we doing ain't enough. It's time to move up the ranks a little bit and make some real life money. And Vito don't blink twice because he needs it. So of course, this is where we meet Henry, and the job is to collect stamps. But we end up finding out that the stamps need to be sold that same night before they expire.
Something wrong?
You bet your ass there's something wrong. These stamps you took have an expiration date.
And that date is tomorrow.
But like I said, Vito got a debt to pay, so he ain't stopping no time soon. So naturally, there's a bigger job, and this time it's a jewelry heist. And if you remember in the beginning, they last jewelry heist, that ain't go so well. But nonetheless, this one does. It was a close call, but they get the job done, and some other boys get arrested. Now Luca is starting to take notice of Vito and Joe, and he starts to give them more work. But this time, it's putting somebody 6 feet under. And with Vito being a war vet and all, he doesn't bat an eye. Now right away, Luca is getting over on Joe and Vito because he says, if you get this job done, you might become a part of the family after paying $5,000 a piece.
You handle this next job like you handled the last one, and there's a good chance you'll be accepted into the family. After you pay the initiation fee, of course.
And how much is that?
$5 apiece.
What are we talking about?
Now, I say he's getting over on them because, fun fact, you don't pay a literal fee to join the mob.
All we had to do was follow the damn train, CJ.
So they get some heavy artillery, and after some slight setbacks and close calls, they take out the target, and Vito finally gets the money for the loan shark.
No. I just wanted to give you the money to pay off Papa's debt.
Oh, Vito, that's great. I was gonna try and see if we could pay it back in installments. I got a little money. He wouldn't have hurt us.
Don't be so sure, but it doesn't matter now.
Now, all is well. The debt is paid, and Vito can live a normal life like any of us.
Oh shit!
This court hereby sentences you to 10 years.
Well, he ends up getting arrested because of those stamps he was selling, and he now has to serve 10 years. So, like the best friend Joe is, he talks to Vito, and he tells Vito, find someone named Leo Galante inside of the jail who could probably help him. He can't really find him, but he ends up getting in a fight with Brian O'Neill, who happens to be one of the guys he got arrested during that little jury heist from earlier. And that's how he gets noticed by Leo Galante. And we really find out this man, Leo, got some pull for real. Like, this man got an entire prison suite, he's running an entire fighting ring, and, well, just watch this clip.
Have to learn his lesson.
That's gonna have to change. You in any shape to fight?
Should be. Boys didn't knock him around too bad after the brawl in the yard. All right, open it up. Rise and shine, Scaletta. You got yourself a visitor.
Like, come on, bro. If that's not having pull, I don't know what is. But as time progresses, Vito starts doing some fights for Leo, and he starts really learning the business and how everything works under Leo. But his sister comes to see him and let him know his mom ain't doing too well. But while Frankie was visiting Vito, their mom was passing away. So now, Vito is now behind bars and not even able to see his mom's funeral. Sad Italian mobster story.
No.
He also learns that Luca trying to get $5,000 out of him and Joe ain't something you're supposed to be doing, and he ain't too happy about almost getting scammed. But fast forward, Leo gets out of jail. He even pulls a few strings to shorten Vito's sentence. Like, bro, this man is kind of really him for real. So nonetheless, after a little more time served, Vito is now out in the world. You know, he has a great homecoming with Joe and a guy named Eddie. It really wasn't such a great homecoming, by the way. And that boy Vito is right back getting to that money without any hesitation, not even thinking twice about it. So, doing some more fast forwarding, Vito sells some cigs, get rid of some greasers, get rid of Luca permanently, and finally get to become a made man, thanks to the boy Leo. So, he starts to make a lot of money, he got the cars, he got the women's, and everything is all right until Vito is told Leo gotta go, and Henry will be the one to do it.
Frank's fucked, Leo.
I wanted to keep you out of it, but I didn't have anybody else who could pull off a job like this. Now I'm thinking this could be the perfect opportunity for Henry here to prove himself. What do you say, Henry? You up for it?
If it means I'm in when the job's done, sure.
So Henry goes to take out Leo, Vito goes to warn Leo, and long story short, luckily Leo survives.
You won't me beg for this one, pal.
What?
Hey, kid.
Leo.
And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like in this scenario, Leo probably shouldn't have been taken off the board because it would have hit for the story and the character more. It would have just been a harder scene for me. But anyway, Leo get taken to the train station and heads to Lost Haven. But then the next problem starts with Frankie, Vito's sister. She's out the house crying on his doorstep and is pretty much telling him, hey, my husband is cheating. And he is also putting his hands on her. So, like any big brother, Vito handles it and puts the guy in his place. And he gets a warm thank you from his sister.
Listen to yourself, Vito. I don't know you anymore. Look, you stay away from us, you understand? Just stay away.
So she was now upset and cuts Vito off after she reached out to him for help because of her cheating and abusive husband. That's just a crazy thing to me. One, you kind of used my mans to get help, and then when he gave you the help, now you want to throw his lifestyle in his face and say you don't want nothing to do with him. But family, am I right? So now he lost his mom, he lost his sister, and he also lose his house and money. So apparently the cousin of Brian O'Neill, you know, the guy we got arrested, wants to get his get back. But of course Vito survive, meets up with Joe, and they end up taking these boys out. But now Vito ain't got no money and he don't got a place to stay. And this really pissed him off because the reason he is even doing any of this mob stuff is because he doesn't want to ever be poor again. He makes that very clear through the entire game. But now he got to start all the way over as if he never had cash in the first place.
Hey, all that stuff that got burnt up is just things, Vito.
Just things. Hey, those were my things, Joe. And why do you think I do the shit we do anyway? It's to buy things. You know, suits, cars, broads, houses. Now I'm back to scratch. And all my damn cash was in that house, too. I promised myself I'd never be poor again. A fucking wharf rat like an old man.
But their good old friend Henry has a job that they can do to put some money in their pocket. And what he wants to do is start moving dope. And of course, Vito needs the money. Now, Vito was a little resistant to selling it, but nonetheless, he went through with it. But since they don't have the money to up front, Henry ends up getting the cash from a loan shark, and then he makes some deals with the Chinese Mafia to get the dope. And all is well once again. The deals are doing good, money is being made, until Henry calls.
Vito, it's Henry. We got a problem.
What kind of problem?
Eddie paid me a visit. Carlo knows about the deal, and he sent Eddie to pick up his cut.
How much?
60 grand.
Fuck, that much? What are we gonna do?
I don't know. We don't even have enough left for Bruno. Meet me in the park. I don't want to talk about this over the phone.
So now them boys owe their boss, and they don't have enough for the loan shark. So to come up with some type of solutions, Vito and Joe go up to meet with Henry, and this is happening.
What's going on?
Shit, that's Henry! What the fuck are they?
I really miss my nigga.
So it's the Chinese Mafia who takes out Henry, and they apparently had a good reason because Henry was an informant for none other than the FBI, the ultimate sin. But Joe doesn't believe it.
A contact inside the Federal Bureau of Narcotics told me that Henry Tomasino passed them information about our deal.
That's a fucking lie!
Whoa, you saying Henry was a rat?
And what's worse is the money is not recovered either. So now they start looking for quick ways to make money that they pretty much need ASAP to be able to pay off this loan shark. Because if they don't, well,
But if you screw me, remember these wise words from the Bible. And my wrath shall wax hot, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless.
So they start doing some jobs. One of them is taking care of Tommy, our cab driver friend, back in Mafia 1. But let's do some adding real quick. Vito mom is 6 feet under. His sister doesn't want anything to do with him. His house and belongings and money are all gone. One of his close friends is taken out in one of the worst ways, and he was working with the feds. They owe money to a loan shark that they're struggling to pay, and if they don't, they will get taken out as well. And now he finds out that Derek and Steve were the ones who offed his father.
Stop pointing that thing at me!
What the hell happened with my father, Derek?
Are you nuts or what? Who are you gonna trust, me or these now unemployed losers? We known each other for a long time, Vito. Think of all the things...
you all wet, Steve? You dive in and try to save him?
Because he wouldn't stay underwater.
Come on, shut!
and he makes sure that they pay for what they did to his father. And that kind of is a blessing in disguise because he ended up finding a lot of money that he needs to pay off the loan shark that Derek had inside of his office. So Vito goes to tell Joe, but Joe has been adult napped. Get it? Because instead of kidnapped, it's adult. Okay. And Vito's right behind him.
It's got a hell of a view.
But of course, plot armor, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, when you see him, you tell him we said this.
So after escaping, Joe goes to the doctor because he's all banged up, and Vito goes to pay off their debt. But he then finds out that the loan shark that his dad borrowed money from is the same loan shark who he's paying off right now.
Vito who?
Vito Scaletta.
Scaletta. I knew a Scaletta once. But I must say, you're much better at paying back your debts than he was. His poor wife had to do it for him.
So it was you who lent my father the money.
Your father. Like father, like son. I see you don't approve. But I didn't make him borrow the money, now did I? Just like I didn't make you. If you ever need a loan, you know where to find me.
But surprisingly, Vito doesn't kill him. He swallows pride and he goes home. But when he wakes up the next day, things start to really hit the fan for your boy. Because Leo is back in town. And he tells Vito,
"Man, what are you doing back?"
Just get in the damn car. Now.
You done fucked up, you know that, don't you?
him and Joe started a war between the Italians and the Chinese, causing a lot of men on both sides to die, and the feds to be coming closer than they normally would be. Now, Leo made it clear he called in a favor. Mr. Chu, the boss of the triads, want them boys dead. The commission want them boys dead. But Leo was like, look, if I get Vito to take out his boss, which is the guy who was initially selling dope, would that suffice? And they agreed. So with the help of Joe, that's what he does. But when it's all said and done, Joe and Vito don't get in the same car. Instead, Vito rides with Leo, Joe goes with some randoms, and the vehicle that Joe is in goes into a completely different direction than where Leo and Vito is headed. And Leo says this.
Sorry, kid. Joe wasn't part of our deal.
So Vito could only assume the worst. Fast forward about 15-20 years or so, and Vito has taken a back seat. He's now under Sal Marcano because the commission decided Empire Bay is no longer for Vito. And we find out Sal and Vito never got along from the very beginning. But Sal can't do anything about it because the commission made it very clear Vito is a made man. He can't be touched without their go-ahead. So what Sal Marcano does is limit Vito's restrictions and the way he makes money. But then something changes, and Sal end up making a move on Vito and try taking him out. But our protagonist, Lincoln Clay, saved the day. Now, depending on your choices, Vito's story can alter a little bit, but we gonna stick to what is the actual canon story. Now, Vito has Lincoln take out some people that was involved in Joe's supposed death. According to Vito, Joe was ordered by Leo to get taken out, but Joe ended up getting away. Now, in the midst of him getting away, he went to Chicago, where the people who was helping him escape supposedly turned on him. He was then beaten, his hands were cut off, and he was unrecognizable. Now, Lincoln asks, are you sure that it was Joe? And Vito's response was, if it wasn't, Joe would have found him by now. Now, as we know, Joe is alive and well, and he's the driver for none other than our friend Leo Galante. But Vito doesn't know this, and he never got any of this information. And considering what they did in Empire Bay, it's probably for good reason. Now, at the end of the game, Lincoln either takes Vito out permanently or let him take over New Haven entirely. Now, I don't know which one is canon, but I would like to think Vito taking over New Haven is the canon one. But the problem is, it was at the cost of everything he had. Vito did the things he did because he grew up poor and he refused to live his life that same way for the rest of it. So he's rich now in a literal sense, but the people he loved are no longer around. Both his parents are gone. He never talked to his sister again, that we know of anyway. He goes years thinking that his best friend was murdered and have no contact of him ever. He watched his other friend get taken out in the worst way and found out he wasn't even his friend, but an FBI informant. And it kind of feels like all for what? Like when you turn around and you look at everything, can you actually say it was worth it? Because what's the point of having everything if you can't share it with no one? And that's all Vito's story ever was. So when Vito is younger in Mafia 2, he's more new to everything. He's willing to get jobs done. He's willing to take these crazy risks not knowing the things that he's doing. And he pay a lot of ultimate prices. In Mafia 3, he's older, he's wiser, and he knows how to do things now, but he has no family. He has no friends, and it's strictly just the business and making money. So him wanting to make sure he was never poor again, he definitely did a great job of doing that. The only issue is, it probably probably was a price he was not willing to pay. Thank you all for watching the video. If you did enjoy, make sure you hit that like button. I know it was a little bit of a longer one, but I appreciate you for staying. Hit the subscribe, you know, all of the good stuff. Thank you so much for all the love and support. I have been tytalksgaming, and I will see you all when the sun sets. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen.